Trump to Iran, don't blank with us. Did you hear about this? Pretty straightforward. The president telling Iran, yeah, don't go there. And the language was colorful. We bleeped it out. Everyone's losing their minds over it, but I'm okay with it. I think you are too, right? Let's listen.
Right.
And Iran knows that, and they've been put on notice. If you around with us, if you do something bad to us, we are going to do things to you that have never been done before.
Iran, they sponsor terrorism, and sometimes they need blunt talk. Yes, the headlines are, oh my goodness, how could he use that word, Look, it would be great if nobody ever used that word. It's not the world we live in. I heard it maybe 40 times today. I'm sorry, and I try not to utter it. Anybody ever see Chris Rock on TV? I mean, let's be real about where our culture is right now. We wish it was possibly more refined, but anyway, it was straightforward. They overreacted, and they also overreacted at where the president said these things. I thought it was brilliant, though. Where did he say them? Yeah, that's right. On the Rush Limbaugh show, you saw that. And he was essentially Donald Trump, basically a co-host today. He was on for 2 hours, and Rush has like, what, 60, 70 million people listening? An audience that the mainstream media overlook. They just watch Rush to catch him saying something they think is outrageous, but they have no idea about his political force. It drives the left crazy, although they love it when their side picks alternative media. Do you remember when Barack Obama went on the Mark Maron show? Mark Maron is a podcaster. The left is in love with this guy. Yep, he went on, and actually he used a pretty bad word himself. I think it's arguably a lot worse than the F word. He said the N word. Yes, he did. It's back in, what, 2013, 2014 or so. Again, they worship the guy, and everything he does is just A-OK. All right, that brings us to the debate, which is shaping up to be another scandal. We've had one debate that was a bit of a sham. The second debate, also a sham. I'm talking about the moderators. And the one they're talking about for next week, yeah, that's pretty awful as well. Steve Scully is the chosen moderator. Let's go ahead and take a look at him, please. Steve Scully is about as vanilla as they come. Pretty straightforward guy. At least that's what we thought. Now we find out that he's in communication with ultimate Trump hater Scaramucci. Remember him? The Mooch. The Mooch was in love with himself and in love with Trump. He's no longer in love with Trump, but still in love with himself. And these two guys were talking. Now, I think what happened is this, and we've seen this happen before with semi-high-profile people. They think they're communicating directly with each other, but they're actually communicating publicly. Yeah, he says, Steve Scully to Scaramucci, should I respond to Trump? And then Scaramucci says something back. Ignore. He is having a hard enough time. Some more bad stuff about to go down. These guys, again, at least Scully thinks he's talking privately. He's not. So, minor scandal there. The count comes down for a little while. Let's put that up full if we can. Steve Scully did not originate the tweet and believes his account has been hacked. Now, let's focus on that for a moment, huh? Steve Scully did not originate the tweet. Who talks like that? I mean, did he tweet it or not? Originate the tweet? Very curious choice of words. Let's see. And he believes his account has been hacked. C-SPAN giving itself a little distance between itself and Scully. This is what the people in the swamp call a non-denial denial. It looks like Scully is working with the opposition. And again, he is the guy they have chosen to moderate next week's town hall debate, which may or may not come off. Now, by this point, you may have heard that Scully worked for Joe Biden for a while. This has been out for some time, that Joe Biden had an intern way back when by the name of Steve Scully. I think we've got a picture of those guys together. And yeah, that had some people scratching their heads. That doesn't seem quite right. Okay, you can be a senator with like 50 interns you never see, but still, I did a little bit more digging, and Steve Scully has worked for other very prominent Democrats in Washington, D.C. This interview you're about to see is from 2012.
I came to school in Washington, D.C., went to American University, had a couple of internships, worked for Joe Biden, senator from Delaware at the time, as an intern. So I had my first chance to really see politics up close in Washington, D.C. Worked for Senator Kennedy, was involved in his ill-fated campaign in 1980, which was interesting. Having worked as a high school student in the Carter campaign in 1976, I saw it from two different perspectives.
Okay, so he's worked for a lot of key Democrats, huh? Jimmy Carter, Ted Kennedy, and Joe Biden. And this is the guy who's going to moderate the debate next week, huh? It seems like it's rigged. It really does. I mean, we've had two debates so far with world-class moderators who could not pin down the Democrat on their plans to stack or pack or not pack the Supreme Court. Something is going on. Now, the swamp being the swamp, and they're all in love with each other down there, and they hook each other up. They're doing it all over again. They are defending this guy. And I'm not saying this is the scandal of the century, but it smells a little bit. Okay? It does. It does. Karen Tumulty is an opinion columnist for the Washington Post, and she comes right out and says, anyone who watches C-SPAN knows Steve Scully is a fine and fair journalist, one of the very best. I mean, it's basically just a call-in show, whatever. Anyway, that got me thinking, okay, she probably was on his show at some point, or at least wants to be on the show in the future. And sure enough, I was right. She was, when she had a book to promote.
Before we let you go, Karen Tumulty, what role will some of the veterans of the Democratic Party play in 2018? Most notably, former Vice President Joe Biden, former President Barack Obama, Senator Bernie Sanders, and even Hillary Clinton.
In 2018, I think you're not going to see a lot of either Hillary Clinton or even Barack Obama out on the campaign trail. Vice President.
You see how it works? It's a pretty small town down there, and they all think that maybe they'll work together again someday or be able to help each other, or they have helped each other in the past, and now it's payback time. It is a swamp, and it's very, very unfair to outsiders, especially our outsider, President Trump, the whole system. And they are protecting Joe Biden. Here's a great, very, I think, straightforward example. You know about this, Joe Biden, he slammed the troops, big time. It wasn't some anonymous quote. We've got him on videotape insulting the troops.
I appointed Johnson to the academy. I just want you to know that. Let's clap for that, you stupid bastard.
What a weird thing to say. He's not really laughing or smiling. He's just like an arrogant guy carried away with himself, a little bit too comfortable calling the troops bastards and dull and slow. So, look, that's a political opportunity for his opponent. This time it happens to be President Trump, right? He made that point to Maria over there on Fox Business.
Actually, it was Joe Biden that called the military a bunch of dirty bastards, and he said it on tape. He called them a bunch of dirty bastards, and he said it on tape. Nobody brings that up. The press doesn't bring that up.
He's right. They don't bring it up because they want to protect Biden. But when Trump brings it up, they try to say he's lying about it. They really do. You know, they got these fact checkers, and they're corrupt in their own way. CNN hits some fact check. Trump makes at least 14 false claims in first post-hospital interview on Fox Business with Maria. I chose this one because this is very, very straightforward. You just heard it, okay? Joe Biden said it. So this is how they fact-checked it. Let's go ahead and put it up, please. According to CNN, this is highly misleading, what Donald Trump said. Biden's comment was an obvious joke. How is that an obvious joke? Are they mind readers? Could they figure out what he was thinking? He wasn't laughing. And you know what? The troops in the background, they really weren't laughing either. One of them was just stoic and seemed like he was a bit insulted by it all. But you see how they interpret everything to advantage their side and to put our side at a disadvantage. I think it's pretty terrible. Hey, by the way, this guy, Steve Scully, I'm sure he's a nice guy. I think I crossed paths with him once. And hey, look, I lived in the swamp for a little while. And, you know, you know, you like to be nice to everybody. So I'm not saying he's corrupt, but he should have pulled himself out of this thing, right? I mean, all right. My heart does go out to him sometimes, and to the whole crew over there at C-SPAN. But I really do like those guys who prank phone call C-SPAN. Have you ever seen it? It's something you can find on YouTube. Here's a little example.
Is the American way. The American way.
If you had the chance to ask a question, would that be your question, or is there something else you want to hear from the ambassador?
Something else. I'd ask her if she's aware that Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself.
We'll go on next to Chad.
And there are plenty of others. Howard Stern comes up quite a bit, and Baba Booey, and some other things we can't talk about, but you can find them on YouTube. All right, we'll see what happens. That debate may not even come off at all next week. We will see.
You just watched Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news channel, now in more than 70 million homes. You can get Newsmax TV on your cable system or check your cable guide. And if your system doesn't carry Newsmax, call them, tell them you want Newsmax TV, because we're real news for real people.